Hi everyone, welcome to the Rebel Crow Psychic Show with your host Athena Silver.
Hi guys, I'm Anja River.
Tonight we are talking about water deities and sacred water throughout the earth. We're going to be talking about offerings that you can give to these deities, some of the sacred places that have been, water has been worshipped there for many thousands of years. We're getting a deep dive into what it's like to work with water, not just on an elemental level, but in a cultural sense as well.
Yeah, so we hope you stick around. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about water in the sense of what it was in ancient times and what it is like to work with it in modern times. Water has always been seen throughout history from our ancestors and from the perspective of those people as dangerous and fickle and unpredictable, and they really made a point to stay on good even keel when it comes to their deities, their gods, their goddesses, to make sure that there weren't natural disasters. So a lot of their medicine and a lot of their offerings were preventative when it came to keeping their communities safe. They even went so far as sacrificing the most precious thing that they could, which was their children and their family members, in the act of making the sacrifice, whether it be through ritual sense or in a burial sense. They were doing this to not only preserve the cycles of life and bring fertility and abundance to their communities, but also to keep safe, which was the most important part.
Tell me more.
Sure. Now, we're going to talk first about a story that a lot of you are probably really familiar with, and especially if you're a history buff like I am. We're talking about when Poseidon got angry, caused the eruption of Santorini, which triggered a tsunami, which basically took out the island of Crete and the Minoan civilization. Now, this is way into prehistory. This was written about by Homer like hundreds of years after it actually happened. And it said that we lost an extremely advanced society because of this act. Allegedly, through the story, they say that the Minoans angered Poseidon with one of their actions, and it caused complete chaos and destruction and annihilation of their way of life. And it's strange because in other natural disasters, the communities come back and they reconsecrate the grounds and repopulate the area. But when it comes to the Minoan civilization, there wasn't anybody really left to do that. So it's sad because it really wiped out an entire people and an entire civilization in one night. Mm-hmm. Some people allege that that's the Atlantis story.
Wow.
Yeah. All because somebody pissed off Poseidon. But talking about the different sacred waters, because there's sacred rivers, there's sacred seas, there's sacred oceans, there's sacred streams. It all depends on who's there, making offering and the spirits that they are offering to. But I'm going to talk about some of the more notable ones, like the Nile River and the Egyptian civilization, and how they went and they served the Nile River by giving offerings to Ankhet. Sorry, you guys know my pronunciation is horrible. Anuket. And we talk about the Ganges River and the goddess Ganga, who watches over the rivers in India. That's a really big one, because it's even, the offerings are constantly made even on a daily, minute to minute basis in that river. There's people that are being, like cremated and thrown into the river. There's people washing their dishes, washing their clothes, taking and drinking it. Unfortunately, it's one of the most polluted rivers on the planet at this point because of the amount of activity at its banks. But it's crazy, and science can't explain it. For whatever reason, people are drinking it and they're not getting sick.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very strange.
Do you think
science
it's
can't really explain it
because of like the holy things that are going on there, even though there's some?
I think it's blessed and protected by the goddess herself. That's how I choose to see it.
Yeah.
It's really how you interpret it. Another famous place would be the Danube River in Europe. It's like runs through Germany and Italy, I think, and all that area. It's been a sacred river to so many different people, throughout its history, especially in prehistory. It has a very rich, like Bronze Age vibe. That's when it was at its height. People are chucking in stuff all the time, keeping their goddess happy. And then for our, like, go real back into history, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia, one of the oldest civilizations on Earth that we're aware of. Those rivers are still seen as sacred. They're sacred to to that whole region of the world. It stems some of the greatest civilizations of all time, and some of the first. And then we're going to switch it over to America. In the Yucatan, there's the cenote sagrado, which is a sacred, the grand cenote. Like that's where they would go. It was very close to Chichen Itza. They would get water from it. They would give offerings to it. And it was there as kind of a portal from place to place, from our realm into another realm. So these places have stories that talk about, like, a lot of them are associated with the underworld. Some of them, like when we talk about the Mayan deity, Chak, the rain god, he is really seen as somebody who it's like flowers and fertility and so much more than just the element of water. All of these deities bring so many different facets to them. When we talk about turbulence, Yemaya and Oshun from the Yoruba tradition, they can be very turbulent, especially if you piss them off.
Yeah.
I'm sure people can attest to Oshun and her jealousy issues.
Yeah.
And I say that respectfully, so don't come at me, Oshun. No judgment here. No, I mean, when we talk about Nephthys in the Egyptian sense of things, she was the goddess of rivers. She was very associated with the story of Osiris and Isis and what happened with his dismemberment and murder by his brother, and his wife brought him back. It all talks surrounding the river Nile, and Nephthys used her powers to help Isis bring Osiris back. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, these waters, when we talk about these sacred deities and these waters, there's always an element of healing and an element of passing away. When we talk about like the river Styx in Greek mythology, it's a river that brought you and shepherded you into the underworld, to meet Hades and his wife, which we've talked about our folk up here before.
Right.
But, it's about shepherding you through to your afterlife. So it's used for transportation, but not even just transportation physically, but you're energetically and soul wise.
Right.
So
yeah.
All of these waters really talk about something much deeper, which is getting into connection of what makes us human. You know, we carry so much water within us, so it's only natural that we would want to connect back with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me what you wanted to talk about talking about water, because you have a more scientific leaning towards it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have been guilty of taking water for granted in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I come back around to it, and when this last time when I was looking, when I was going back again and really like trying to reacquaint myself with using water more magically, more meaningfully, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So there's this theory that I wanted to talk about, and I think it bridges some of what you're saying about why not just waters and sacred sites are so important, but all water, and how we connect, we can use water to connect us to, you know, more magical efficaciousness. Water is so, like, like when the snowflakes are like their own crystals and everything,
Yeah.
right? So there's this very famous doctor, Masaru Emoto. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name as well, but and he studied all the different effects of like different elements on water, not elements, you know, how different things affected water. And what he noticed is that the crystals are in the liquid water as well, and
Mm-hmm.
not, they don't always form, like, so in some certain situations, like if the water is mistreated, or like he had this famous experiment where he had 3 cups of water from the same source, and went back to it and said, I love you every day. And then the middle one, it would be like, you idiot, or something like that. And then the other one would just be ignored. And they were all different. Like
Yeah.
they were there at the same time, but they were all different. And the one where he was saying expressing gratitude and love to was fermenting nicely. And then the one that was like, you idiot, it was like black. And then the other one was just kind of like moldy and green and gross. And so, running with that, like there's a lot of information that you could find him and look that up and see like everything that's behind that. But the whole idea of it is that because water, it's either, and scientists really don't know, but it's either that water is an information exchange, and either it records or it's speaking to us, or everything,
Well,
every being,
it
right?
also conducts energy as well, and
Mm-hmm.
vibration. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what, anytime we're putting energy or intention into something, when we have something that conducts it, it does form a memory of what it is conducting. So I can see
Right.
how that definitely ties in.
Yeah. And so, like, when you're thinking about, so that, they look at water from a state of like a pure natural state, and
Mm-hmm.
those waters usually tend to have like the nicest crystals, and they're the healthiest waters for us to use, and to, it's in a pure state. Whereas like tap water, going through these hard angles in the pipes and everything, and being cycled and filtered and heavily treated, is almost dead.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. But with that simple idea in mind, that water can actually like take our intentions, and, in fact, not just ours, this isn't like a human centric thing. It is takes everything, it takes the energy of everything that it touches.
Yeah.
With that in mind, you can take, first of all, you can up your respect for water, like this is like,
Well, that's
I
something that we need to keep in mind nowadays, because only 1% of the water on Earth is fresh water. And as humans,
yeah.
we can't drink seawater or salt water. So
Yeah.
if we really want to, be one with our ecosystem, with our planet, we really need to be respectful towards water and these spirits and deities that guard the waters, because this is our life, source.
Yeah, like you
There's
said,
no
we're made of
water, there's no
70% of
life.
water, and children are made of 70% of water. So that's an interesting thought too, because thinking of how much water, how much you are made of water, like how much of it makes you 70%, or if you're a kid, 90%. When you can really do a lot of good for your own body if you are working with, and being very careful about the water that you use, for yourself.
Yeah.
So like, our ancestors knew that like certain vessels were much better for the water. Like they had this innate knowledge, and somehow we've lost this like we've lost so much of our respect for the substance that really is like we need that,
And it shows
like air, like we need
it shows the most when we're talking about healing with water.
Yeah.
Western medicine has only kept a fragment of that knowledge in play, by like aqua therapy, hydrotherapy. They send you to the pool at the club and you got to do, your aerobic workout with the old folks, like it has its place. But there's things such as like sweat lodges that are being used by indigenous people that has a huge benefit to your well-being through eliminating toxins, through sweating, through being humbled by the heat and the intensity. And it puts you in a trance meditative state. So it really purifies you on all levels, where, people nowadays see that as, kind of woo-woo and out there, whereas it really has a lot of benefit, even in the way of like salt baths. Like back in the day, people used to bathe. If you think about the Romans, they built these gigantic, huge bathhouses, as monuments to the art of bathing. Bathing was considered therapeutic. You bathed when you were sick. You bathed. There were even, resorts that had specialized pools, like, or if you had skin conditions, you were sent to the Dead Sea to go lay in. And people still do that today. It heals rheumatism as well. So there's many people that will go, instead of taking loads of medication, they'll go on vacation a couple times a year and go lay in the Dead Sea. Which,
wow.
Whatever
sounds
works,
amazing.
right?
That sounds amazing to me.
The problem with the Dead Sea is scientists say that it's not going to be there. I think in the next 50 years, it's going to be gone.
Let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about
that.
Well,
it's why we need to, this is why we need to respect water. Respecting water is respecting yourself. Just like the principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. That's why, from a energetic principle side of things, we need to be in harmony with our surroundings, including some of, our sustenance in the way of our life, like water.
Yeah. So like a simple practice that I do, and I've been doing it for a while. I don't always remember, but like I always bless my water. I also bless my food, because food has water in it as well. So like when you're blessing your food, it's not just about, there is a scientific thing behind it, because you're blessing the food, you're blessing the water that's in the food that's going to go into your body and talk to your cells, and and make up what you are,
nourish you.
So I feel like anything that you want to work with magically that requires you to change either your thoughts or your body or your energy levels, I feel like that's definitely something that you could work with water internally or externally, not to mention all the things that you can do with like blessed water in, other outside spaces, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. I think we should also talk about offerings, and what people usually offer to water, either fresh water, seawater, ocean water. It historically using milk and honey and pouring it in, doing libations of alcohol, beer, wine, mead. Those people have been doing that since the beginning of time. throwing in effigies and jewelry, like gold and silver jewelry as offerings. There's even the case of people in the UK making bog butter, leaving butter in
What's
the
that?
bog for the water deities, because bogs are water.
Ah.
People have thrown grains and different food items, different perfumes.
Mm.
People have poured different sacred potions on the ground in front of the water. So it has a rich history of offering back to the earth. It's really, sweet, luxurious items that you want to gift to these waters to keep them happy so they don't come in and erase your village from the map.
Yeah. And also really important to, like when you're visiting any waterways, to go, pick up some trash, or, like
Yeah.
just take care of the space, because I feel like that's something that is practical and, is an offering to not only the water itself, but the water creatures and all the plants that live in that habitat.
I like to offer flowers. There's whenever I get to do it, when I'm down in Virginia with my family, we go to Virginia Beach, every now and again. I like to take flowers to the beach, or I'll take like a crystal or something, or a piece of, belonging to me, and say a prayer and throw it in. Because
Yeah.
to me, I keep it as a way, of honoring my ancestors. Now, I know my ancestors were not in Virginia, but it's
Mhm.
the same. That body of water has a lot of history for my ancestors. So I make it a point to honor my African ancestors and my Taino ancestors, because the Atlantic is a big feature in the history of that lineage. So I make it a point to bring, white flowers in remembrance, and that's been
Sorry, that's
something that,
beautiful.
yeah, it's very powerful. And I really try to do it by myself. Like, it's something I do, just me and them.
Hmm.
Anytime I'm by the Atlantic, I make a point to stop by and just to talk to the ones that are still in the water, the ones that are still vibrating with that energy, to
Yeah.
acknowledge them and to let them know that, as one of their descendants, that I still find them important
Oh,
and
that's
their
so
story is
sweet.
important. Yeah. It's really, it fills me at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
especially like being Taino, or a descendant. Water is huge in Puerto Rico and in Dominican
Hmm.
Republic. I mean, their islands are surrounded by it, but the culture of water, everybody's taking canoes and island hopping.
Yeah.
Everybody was very water based and always near the water, and so, and even the fresh water that was on the island, making um, offerings to Atabe and the other water spirits in the area. That really, it makes my connection with water feel so much more on a deeper level, because it's inbred into the culture itself. Even
Hmm.
now, water is a big deal to those island cultures.
Hmm. Yeah. Any bodies of water, really. Like if you live near a body of water, you are from a place, you know,
Well, the water
we all
tells,
need to treat it sacred.
and the water is a snapshot of the history of that place. That
Hmm.
a lot of those bodies of water, they go back so far into time, and they're going to continue long after we're gone. So it's
Hmm.
like a way to connect our story to their story.
Yeah.
So it takes on another level of sacred. So we hope you guys enjoyed, our conversation about sacred water. I'm Athena Silver. I'm a professional psychic medium. If anybody would like to have a tarot reading or a mediumship reading or spiritual cleansing, please check out my website, readingswithathenasilver.com. I'm on Instagram at athena.silver. I'm on Facebook at Readings with Athena Silver, and I'm on TikTok at there's so many at Athena_silver. What about you, Anja?
Mine's so much more simple.
Yes, it is.
I am a certified hypnotherapist in past life regression and a tarot reader, and you can reach me at Anja River, ANJARIVER, on Facebook and Instagram.
Wonderful. We hope you guys check back with us next week. We drop an episode every Thursday, so keep an eye out. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe. And we will see you guys next week. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.